Juan Manuel Sanchez Molina going 4-1. Now, I actually do have let me make sure I have his mission pack stuff, but I'm pretty sure I have his mission pack stuff right here. Let me take down some of these slides real quick to you, chat, so I don't get overwhelmed and messy. There we go. There we go. Yes, I do. I moved them over here. All right, cool. Nice. So we do have the actual missions he played and what layout he was on at least, even though I do not have notes from the player, at least as of today. But we've finally seen the More Dakka list come to fruition. Yes, absolutely love to see it. And there's a lot of cool things here, even though we know that we're seeing triple Tankbustas again. When you see this Big Mac check at that gun, yes, you're seeing that, but there is some caveats here and some interesting dynamics, good amount of units variety. So let's take a look at this. And yeah, I'm still taking More Dakka the team tournament next weekend. Yeah, what's up, Jay Humes? Yes, it absolutely still does have legs, as we're seeing here with one. And it's not just, oh, we suddenly realized this as the org community. If we go into the fixed star list we do every month, I actually suggested fix More Dakka to two people from our members community to run More Dakka, and they've been having a good time doing it and having a successful time doing it. I just think it takes one of those a little bit of passion and investment projects legs. So trying to get you out there, boy. What's up? That so yeah, I'm actually really happy to see this so we can take a look at this list. And I kind of reinvigorate people who want to like take a shout out and look at More Dakka. So we have Big Mac with the dead shiny shooters. That's crazy, of course, if you're getting rapid fire to Tankbustas, which you absolutely are, because as we spoke about in our Tankbustas breakdown, our Dreadmount breakdowns, for example, as well, we've said several times is if you're taking the Big Mac and you attach him to Tankbustas and he's getting the Pulsa, he's still getting to -3 AP with his custom Mega Blaster with his baseline 3 shots, and then now you're giving him a rapid fire on that, and you're obviously giving him sustain on that. He himself having damage 3 is pretty awesome. Then now he's going to be assault, so that means him re-rolling his advances on his data sheet and then being able to move through screens is pretty sick. So if there's something in the way to try to bog you down so they can shoot, so you don't shoot something you want, well, these guys can move through it, shoot at it, and then charge something else or reback charge it to a screen that's next to it after they've shot that. So typically people will put trash in front of their tanks and hope orcs will run in to punch it. Well, think this Tankbusters unit's going to run up, shoot that tank, annihilate it, and then run into that screen or that mid-size, a Space Marine assault unit and Space Marine unit, and then pick that up as well. Pretty sick. I absolutely love it. So two Big Mac with shock attack guns, of course, also getting the other Tankbusters. Then you have the Baby Mick, followed by two war bosses. Love to see that there's two war bosses on the list because there's two units of Breaka Boyz on the list. Then we have two trucks, followed by a Battlewagon with RK, Staff Roller, Grabbing Claws, Lava, Breaker, and then the Zap Gun. Now, yes, the Zap Gun. I agree. First of all, the other guns are straight up trash if you're trying to keep the trip capacity to its max. And not only is it trash, but it takes time and you don't want to waste time. So really it's about, oh, my zap gun gonna hit something, boom, roll it, just see what it does it off, cool, awesome. If I get it, I get extreme damage from it. If I don't, whatever, I didn't waste time rolling all these dice. That's something that I want to advise to other orc players. Don't, high management is a factor, especially as you can see he has a healthy amount of units on this list. So I like that he actually cut down on time and he just looked for damage here. I do the same exact thing with my Battlewagon, exclusively Zap Gun City. So 2 units of Breaka Boyz. I think if you're not playing Warhorde, you're not playing unit saturation of I just bring 5-6 trucks with a lot of units, MSU units all over the field and threat saturate the opponent, so nothing's valuable. Therefore, everything's valuable. If you're not playing that style archetype, then I do strongly advise to Breaka Boyz for the War Boss because one stops you from getting bogged down if you get charged by something. I mean, sorry, if you charge into something. So if there's something that requires too many volumes of damage, 2 wound units, like a 10-man unit of 2 wound units, you want to be able to punch through with the War Boss and your Breaka Boyz, not get bogged down by the fact that you are low volume of attacks by this unit, but you're also hitting on 2s and you lack sustain that you would normally have here. Now, of course, depending on the dynamic and where it's at, you could possibly call one of these guys for 2 CP. Now, do I see it possibly happening? You typically not, because they're going to be within transports and they're be getting out. And that's pretty much what they're going to be doing a lot of the time to stay safe. But if you can disembark them, they make them safely stage, and then do the wall with them independently, that could be cool. Uh, Now we have 3 5-man units of flash kits, the skirmish kings, and we do a flash kits video. Go check that out. What I mean by that, but the flash kits are just point for point the best skirmishers. Now, boys are also sick for skirmish for 80 points, which is crazy considering they're the same point value. But the fact that they shoot and fight and they have better armor saves and they're smaller profile and they fit within SWAT teams is what really makes them the king of the skirmish. So bringing 3 of them is great. I absolutely love that. I find myself doing that a lot of the time. 10 becomes unruly, but 5-man units are absolutely excellent, especially for like SWAT teams, as we talked about. A big unit of grots on this. So at first I was like, well, that was a bit surprising because there's no Zagrot, right? Because a lot of the time people are like, well, if I absolutely if Zod's on the list, that's the only time you're going to see a big break of Gretchen. But like we've spoken about in how to use Gretchen videos, we have as well. A big brick of Gretchen can be used to simply screen your entire backfield, force the enemy to retain the Call the Horde card, and maybe use CP to discard it. And you've completely secured your backfield. And if someone decides to kind of threaten or attack it, you have a bunch of OC and bodies to just try to maintain it. And if it's the wall, they can really bog it down. You can use a CP to just make them auto pass morale as well if dudes start dying. And you have the multiple run herders, so one of them can take like small arms fire saves. If someone's just shooting bolters at them, for example, and even make the unit procrastinate in its lifespan more than anyone would even expect from a basic 80 point 2 wound trash tier model, right? But it's extreme value. Absolutely love it. I would personally like to see maybe if you had another one so you have some flexibility on how to move them. But clearly, this is I just screen my whole backfield. Everything's going forward. Totally respect, because when we're talking about how you play More Dakka in its current form, it is very much about a combined arms version of executing a similar gameplay style to Warhorde. Right, so on Warhorde list, you see people bring the melee and then some shooting capability, and their focal point is the damage from the shooting capability. Well, it's somewhat the inverse here. You still have good, valuable punching units, but you're really taking advantage of your utility of assault. On top of that, which is still executing on the wall because you're doubling down on the investment because you need the sustain from it to make it go off and actually get the damage from the shooting units. But it does require the same kind of timing, setup, and then staging and kind of units that you're using. So I like it. I think it's really sick. And I think that he brought a lot of redundancy of 3 damage, which is what you need right now in the meta. 2 units of Kommandos to really keep the enemy kind of off you is very important, and we've talked about this since Prime Nexus with Mandos lead the way, but just keeping your game of I can play infiltrate and participate in that part of the game, which is simply another like turn in itself of the game, is important. So if you can use it for staging to stop yourself from getting parking lotted, to harass the enemy themselves, be in great position for your strategic reserves, whatever it may be, Mandos lead the way. So check that out, Mandos 101. But 2 5-man units to Storm Boys, and then of course the dreaded, the loved triple Tankbustas. So let's take a look at my boys' path to victory. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our wall tactic dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description. 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them because he was fighting it. It was a good fight. He was fighting uphill because he wasn't getting the biggest margin differences, which means he was having good games. Which to me, it's like, well, if you don't win the whole event, as long as you're having a great games, it's like, what else could you really ask for, right? As long as you're having great games and having a winning stat line, it's like, what else can you ask for? So very exciting. So, of course, this was point differentials, like we said, and then I have I think my boys missions right here. So, oop, oop, I'm doing a thing where I click too happy and excitedly. So, very simple. Playing day one. Day one was terrain layout 1 from GW. So this was mission E, take and hold, prepare position, hammer, and anvil. So for his first opponent, it's not orcs. I just had that up. Shout out to the chat. What's up? Chat's popping off. Whoa, make sure you guys do that poll. Let me check on that poll because I got to make sure you guys are doing it. I'm going to start getting stuck in with you guys. Oh, man, boys are still pretty heavy on Warhorde. I don't blame you. Warhorde's fan freaking tastic. But just interested to see. So keep it up, guys. So yeah, with Warhorde's winning that. So let's take a look at his first matchup. Because I'm interested in what More Dakka did. And he went into Raven Guard Gladius Task Force. So we have Captain in Gravis Armor, Chaplain in Jump Pack, and then Craven Strike. That's the name. Strike, right? Right. Okay. Intercessor Squad unit. Now, funny enough, 3 big 10-man breaks of Jump Pack Assault Marine intercessors. Absolutely love that. We have 2 units of Ballistas Dreadnoughts, followed by a big brick of Inceptors, 1 unit of Incursors, 2 units of Predator Destructors, a Scout Squad, 1 Storm Strike Speeder, and then a Caladius Assassin. Now, what I would always say is what we know as Orc players is bringing a bunch of 2-wound guys doesn't typically go your way, especially when we have a ton of flash kits and they actually have the capability to advance and shoot. So even with your assault staging is not necessarily that safe. He has all the weapons to really deal with these guys, but they have the initiative with speed. So as for the mission, the impact from the mission of it being taken hold, and means that he can kind of contest primary little by little and kind of drip feed the game out until he's able to fully commit as a Raven Guard player or dissect the army. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly how that Raven Guard list plays because that's quite dynamic and cool. But from what I understand, they can still systematically kill a lot of the little orc skirmishing type of units very effectively with speed. So like Kommandos wouldn't be safe. Your dudes in trucks are going to get out and get staged up and trapped. So this might be one of those games where you put all 3 of your tank busters in a battle wagon, and to some degree, just to keep them all safe in that one spot, and then all commit them. Because this is one of those matchups where they can come take the initiative from you, and orc players absolutely hate that. So even though it looks like yes, they're soft, I can kill all that stuff. Well, they getting the initiative on you and kind of move locking you with any of our shooting detachments can be a weakness in itself. So yeah, and like we see with layout 1, really good for just staging up in this middle terrain, right? Just easy, just stage up on there. Jump pack Marines can somewhat fit here. Small units, Scouts Marines can fit right here. Force you to try to commit and interact with them. If not, they'll pick them up and bring them later into the game back somewhere over here. Now he does have those big grot unit, but you can't necessarily just let people drop their scouts wherever they want and score all the secondaries they want. So this is a very bang it out kind of layout. And he has that big unit of Gravis. What is that, Gravis Captain? Which we all know that dude can sometimes just tank too much, too much damage and start really making a menace down the field. So shout out to him in that 13-point win. And move on to his game 2. What's up? I like tactical until Tankbustas is getting hit again, and then I'll move Warhorde to Green Tide. That's extremely fair, right? We have to know exactly how GW is going to react, or if they're even going to act. There's a chance that they may be reasonable. I don't usually give GW the benefit of the doubt, but there's a chance. So now I move on to game 2, which is going into Drukhari. So let me look at what the game was again. So this is game 2, mission M, Purge the Foe, Rapid Escalation, Crucible of Battle. So if we don't hate Purge the Foe, Eldari absolutely don't like Purge the Foe. So we have Drukhari. We have Archon, a unit of Beastmaster. Ooh, like we were talking about the infiltrate game, boys. Important when you're going against Beastmasters because they got that infiltrate and fast boys. Drazar, Lilix, Hekparas, and then this urinal guy. All right, what's his name now? Cabalite Warriors. Sorry, Drukhari guys. Rax, unit of witches, 3 Venoms, a Chronos, Helion, Incubi, 2 units of Mandrakes here. Some more infiltration game. Well, the other guys are in scouts, but you get what I'm saying. They're playing the early game. 2 units of Talos, and then a Void Raven Bomber, followed by a unit of Sky Weavers. What's up, Wicked Joe? Whoa, nice to see our boy Wicked Joe out here. So, like we spoke about as orc players, if you're gonna play this, any form of Dakka, whether it's More Dakka, Dread Mob, whatever you call, what you liking tactical, you need to keep units in your back pocket that can actually keep enemies at arm length when you're building your list. So in this case, we have Bandos to interact and keep the Mandrakes off you, to keep the Beastmasters essentially off you, because Beastmasters have a big scouting. I think it's about 9-inch scout, and then it's a weird unit with multiple different data sheets, as you can see. But each of those units has like a blade of wounds, and then they also have like 10-inch movement or 12-inch movement, which is excellent for blocking, stopping a wagon, stopping trucks, just standing in the way. So they can just kind of jailing you and then really take the initiative off on you. So this was a close game from them. Like we all know, Drukhari is very soft, and this mission is based off Purge the Foe. So how the trades are going, is a big deal in the tempo of the game, and it's really palette dependent, right? Drukhari is one of those kind of glass cannon factions, but I like to see all those Talos and stuff. You're glad you have Tankbustas for them because those guys were really annoying point to kill before. The Void Raven, almost no answers to interact with it. You either completely ignore it and kill everything else, or you commit to killing it, which might leave you exposed to getting killed by it. All right, so really cool matchup. You can see he's already dealing with like odd kind of tools and utility tool pieces that the enemy can bring to his attention. We have 10 gifted wall tacted memberships from Wicked Joe. Whoa, to our boy Wicked Joe. Thank you, buddy, for that. Thank you for the support. Glad to see you around. I know GW be frustrating us, but it's time for you to get stuck in, lad. Let's go. And Juan, you tooth snatcher. So thank you very much, Wicked Joe. Super generous of you. And supporting the Great WAAAGH, these orc players right here. And so we go into his third round where he faces, and shout out to our members, we're gonna do another video on there about the hunt, so if you want to see that, check it out. We're gonna do that on Monday with our boy Brandon, the most known to hunt pilot there is right now. So check that out in the members video. So on his game 3, we go to the Ultramarines. Shout out to you, Tooth Snatcher. Whoa, Tooth Snatcher. So Ultramarines, Gladius Task Force. So we have Manius Calgar, Rebute Gileman, and Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, followed by 2 5-man Assault Intercessors, Company Heroes, Infiltrators, Scout Marines, 2 units of Basilisk, a Lancer, a Predator Destructor, a Vindicator, Clady Assassin, and a Ministorum Priest. Salute. So, love to see the Space Marines. So, like we spoke about before, how it wants to execute as any kind of war horde kind of style army would want to do is hit them so hard that they are crippled. But in this case, because you lack fight on death, you lack artist nails. It could just be a I lose my attrition a little bit too early here. Now, as for this mission, it was still layout 1, but we'll see it was linchpin, fog of war, tipping point. So I think in this matchup, it really went to like I spoke about when we started the video too, is sometimes when you're playing against Space Marines, because of how like efficient they are, if you let them kill your assets a little early, and then you decide to commit to them and you really just kind of kill their screens and maybe one of their viable units. A Ballista's Dreadnought is not, valuable to the Space Marine player. They want you to come out with your tank buster unit, kill it, and then they kill you with something else, or the Lancer, for example. Right? Vindicators are built to be smoke and try to tank a bunch of your damage and match up on you. So it's a winnable game. By all means, it's a winnable game, but it could very much get into those matchups where they take some of your assets, you call your wah, you shoot at them, you charge at them, they do some interrupts, they do some heroic interventions because they have endless CP, so they can just keep playing the game however they want. And then, you don't get the results you want, not to mention you don't have, the wand demand necessarily anymore. And the Clades Assassin can make that cost even more. So you really don't have it. So, yeah. Yeah, still does crump Marines for sure. Absolutely. Ignoring cover, additional AP, all that stuff freaking sick. But it really does come down to sometimes Marines can sometimes just kill you too effectively, and a good Space Marine player can create layers and screens so you can't get to their valuable assets, and then buzz saw through you and scoring just enough late game. And you can see that was a close game because it was a 8-point game. So we go into the 4th game, which is the Imperial Knights. So we got Canis Rex, 4 Helvrins, 5 Glaives, Clades Assassin, Sisters, Battle Squad, and an Emulator. So this was one of those picked up lists from the Art of War guy who ended up winning a GT, and he brought these emulators. How they're used is, hey, now Knights can actually play within terrain, can play primary, can do secondary missions, and stuff like that. So that's how that list kind of plays out. Not too dynamic, pretty straightforward gatekeeper kind of army to expect. That was day 4, right? So then we move on to day 4. This was actually layout 3, a little bit of an unusual one sometimes to play. We have mission A, so old classic mission of taking hold, raise banners, and tipping point. So what if there is, in my opinion, what to say about how you play Knights is a lot of the time it's what's your wall commitment going to be, which is sometimes based off how the knight player kind of invests into you. Like if they just don't respect your orc army and they just come out in the open and try to bang it out and kill everything, well, then you might be able to call a wall and pick up 4 or 5 knights on the wall respectively. But if you commit all your tank busters to Canis, for example, and then he doesn't die, and then he gets to reply with all his baby knights, well, in that sense, you're having a hard game. So based off it being taken hold, it does come into a factor of, can I, get him to kind of over commit to certain units and kill 4 to 5 of his baby knights, make sure I really interact and kill that sister's unit with the immolator squad a little bit early, throw some flash gets, some mandos into it, and really try to get it out of there, because that's really where they want to score their secondaries and how they can slow play the game, and then they have to feed you the knights at that point. If they don't give them to you, then that means the knights are coming forward and you can start killing those guys. Um, you know, Canis Rex is an opportunistic kill. You could bait him with a battle wagon because none of the other baby knights are going to pop the battle wagon in that case. And then if he comes out to play, all the tank busters get out and pop him. And then they go off and start charging things. So I absolutely like to see that too. Knights are going to have a hard time because you do still get to give additional AP, and only one of them gets to rotate. So everybody else is just taking 5-ups and getting kind of chipped down even from flash gets. I mean, I've had flash gets with stratagems greatly damaged knights by popping lethals on their own from baby knights. So it does seem like a one-sided matchup, but Breaka Boyz going into Canis absolutely devastate him as well. So he does have a bunch of weapons to deal with all these vehicles and such. So I love to see it. So then we move on to and he did win that one with the 14-point win. So it was his highest win of the week, but he was having a lot of good games. And then we go into his last game, which was also against Chaos Knights. So, like we always say, Knights kind of gatekeeper army, where if you lose some games or you're right there in the beginning, you're going to have to face them. You're going to see them because they're right there holding the mid-tables hostage sometimes. So here we have the good old classic Knight Rampager, Stalker, and then probably Baby Knight Spam. So 5 Brigands and then 3 Carnivores. Or it's like 6 Brigands. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Brigands. Okay. So he's all shooting, which is kind of good for you because he does have tank busters and stuff. And you can take saves. Like we were talking about the coolness of a flash get. It can somewhat survive a Gatling from a barrage, from a brigand. Now, not the whole unit will still be alive, but doesn't mean they're all dead from getting small arms fire. Just saying. So love to see that. And as for the mission, it was Scorched Earth. Oh, let me show it up here. Hello. We have Scorched Earth, Stalwart, and then Search and Destroy. Like we always say, Mandos are extremely important for your search and destroying. I would hate to see you guys not be able to move out and take off 4 corners of the table. Really hampers your reserves. Let the enemy get the initiative on you. Lets them kind of hold the tempo and score out the secondaries. So you need something fast. It either needs to be able to jump, it needs to be able to get over there with fly, or it needs to be able to infiltrate. Something needs to be able to play the search and destroy. And yeah, as a Snickrod enjoyer, yeah, Snickrod needs to go down to at least 185. I mean, 85, not 185. What the heck? But shout out to you for that one, my boy Juan. It was another 13-point win there on the bait and the dog spam. That's kind of sometimes just a skill check sometimes as an orc player when you run tonight, right? It's like sometimes, yeah, you do lose the game, it happens. But when you overcome them because of their simplicity of playing, you really are kind of playing the uphill battle a little bit as the orc player against knights. Feels really good when you pull back-to-back wins on them to end out the event. Big stompy guys just feel thematic for an orc army. But that's also why we see these triple tank buzzers being brought, right? So as we all know right now, everybody's like, well, that's it. GW is going to nuke tank busters again. They very well might. But I would hope GW also goes around and pays attention to all the reason why tank busters are being brought in such redundancy and stuff like Breaka Boyz, because the meta is full of these cheap transports. I mean, tanks and armored chassis. And I like that. I think GW at least found a way to get them incorporated again in a cool way. But it's a bit much, and it does kind of make you have to tech into these things for reliable outcomes as an orc player. So if GW does go along the way and starts nuking stuff, I hope they nuke themselves first with their nerfs to themselves, because they need to chill out. So we have Big Mac, 2 units of shock attack guns, a mech, 2 war buses, 2 trucks, a battle wagon, 2 units of Breaka Boyz, 3 flash kits, a big brick of aggression for the backline screening, Mandos for their frontline screening, 2 storm bullet units for scoring, and then 3 units of Tankbustas. So shout out to Juan for his More Dakka. Whoa. be a cunning Git and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you Gits being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table, nice and clean for all you Gits to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!